guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Tamar Meisels, and in this video we're going to talk about, can we trust our Jewish tradition? So in the last 200 years, the world has become more and more secular. In Israel, around 45% of the Jews call themselves secular, which is more than any other sector in Israel. Now, a lot of times my friends who are secular, I try to talk to them and understand what's bothering them, meaning why they don't believe, what makes them doubt our Jewish tradition. One of the things that can bother them a lot of times is religious corruption. Like when they see a religious person or religious institution act in corrupt or in wrong ways, it kind of deters them and makes them not want to take part in this religion. And another major one that I hear a lot is this whole God taking us out of Egypt and revealing himself to us and the parting of the sea. It doesn't really make that much sense. It doesn't seem plausible. It might be a nice folklore or a nice story that we're telling ourselves, and a lot of other nations also have stories that they tell themselves, and maybe they also think that they're the chosen people. Like, it doesn't make sense to them. They ask themselves, why should our story really be true? An important note before we begin is that people believe in what they want to believe. Even if we can logically prove with high probability that this took place, if you don't want to believe, you will find a way. And the same goes with the opposite. If you do believe, you will find a way. It might be a little bit scary also, like, what if this is true? Does this mean that I have to change my lifestyle, do something different? So it could be a little bit intimidating also. An example of this is Professor Yuval Noah Harari, who talks in one of his lectures about how when he was researching early man, he wanted to find that early men didn't eat meat because he himself is a vegan, and he wanted to find these findings, but that's not what he found. So basically, you kind of are led to believe what you want to believe. Also, if God wanted to, he could have, made it like 100% logical or 100% clear that this is exactly what happened. But this isn't really the way the world works. The way that the world is built is that God is hidden and we have free choice in this world. So I don't think that it's supposed to be 100% clear. We're supposed to be given free choice. Now, I don't think that this means that it's not a logical decision or our faith is only based on some belief and not logical. No, we're going to get into some of the logic coming up. Also, every generation has their point of free choice. Like in our, more modern secular world, our free choice is, we don't really believe that these things happen. We don't really believe in God. In past generations, it was completely different. For example, we're told in the Bible about the stories where they just left Egypt, God revealed themselves, they see God revealing to them, and they're still sinning, and they're still making mistakes, and the golden calf, and they're complaining, and we in our generation said, if only God would reveal himself to me, how could these people who just left Egypt with all these miracles, how can they do these sins? Okay, because they had different issues that they had to deal with. Is the Torah really from God? Did God reveal himself to us? And how can we trust our traditions to be true? When it comes to tradition, we can assume that parents want, the best for their kids. You wouldn't lie to your kid. You wouldn't tell them what you thought was not true. Our faith is not something that we're born with. It's something that is instilled to us by our parents, and our parents got this from their parents and their parents, and we're talking about 120 generations from the point that we left Egypt till around now. So this is 120 generations that were convinced in what they were teaching their children. Not only has it been a lot of generations, but it was also done under extreme adversity, inquisitions. This faith that they were instilling to their kids put their very lives in danger time and time again, and they still did it. Also, this religion has a lot of requirements. It's not some easy, fun religion. There's a lot of requirements and a lot of restrictions. And the reason they did this is because they were convinced. So maybe they were wrong. How do we know that they were not wrong? When it comes to making a mistake, either the first generation that accepted the Torah made some sort of mistake, or somewhere in the process there was a mistake made. If we're talking about the process, Judaism is known for being extremely strict on the details of the Torah. Every letter of the Torah our forefathers knew every word by heart and knew to count even letters. If the Torah scroll is missing even one letter, the Torah scroll is forbidden to be used. And you could see the formats and the wording in Jews that lived in different countries for thousands of years. They have the same format and the same details. So the tougher one is really the first generation, accepting the Torah in the first generation, how they were led to believe. Obviously, he wouldn't come up to some later generation and tell them, this is what happened to you. You left Egypt. Millions of you witnessed the giving of the Torah. They'd say, that didn't happen to us. This is not our history. They wouldn't accept the Torah, which has so many restrictions on them, if they knew it to not be true. So we're talking about the first generation that accepted the Torah. Maybe they were hoaxed into it. Maybe this Moses guy, convinced them with all these tricks. And also now that we have technology, my friend at work said, maybe this guy Moshe, came with a screen from a future generation, and he came back to them and he displayed all these tricks, and that convinced them. Now, we're talking about 600,000 men that witnessed it. This is about maybe 3 million people that witnessed it. And not only that, but we're a very tough nation, right? We're chutzpahdik. We don't just accept things. And Moshe even said to God, they won't believe me. How will I make them believe me? We're not some easy nation that just falls into people's arms. And not only that, but Moshe himself wasn't some charismatic leader that convinced the masses. The Torah tells us he was hard of speech, hard of tongue. He was really not your charismatic figure. Also, let's say we imagine some scenario that he was trying to trick. Wouldn't he come up with a system that was easier to follow or made more sense? Like, why would he suggest not eating milk and dairy and all these different things that man doesn't really understand? Who would be willing to follow such a difficult religion? And what gain do you have from people not eating milk and dairy together and all these other restrictions in the Torah? Basically, any historical event that happens within 2 or 3 generations, those people die, and then it's left as a tradition. If you don't believe something just because it's a tradition, you won't believe any historical event. Also, images and videos can be fabricated. So tradition is something that you need to, trust that it did. If our perspective is always to try to claim that everything was a lie, then within 80 years, 2 or 3 generations, we'll always claim that this tradition was false. We won't believe in any historical event that takes place. Besides our tradition given to us from our parents and their parents and their parents, we also have the Torah itself, the Bible itself. Now, the Bible is the most popular book in the world. It has impacted the world in so many ways: culture, literature, thought, and the people of Israel have been learning it for generation after generation. It is so deep. There is so much to learn. In every generation, we had a few, top geniuses in our generation. We have Maimonides, we have Rav Kook in the last generation, and every generation we have, and they learn Torah day in and day out. There is so much to learn. There's so much godly wisdom to learn from the Bible. Hebrew expression is amuka minei yam. It's as deep as the ocean. There is so many different levels to learn. Books and books and books and books written on the Torah. There's so much to learn in the Torah. People could spend their whole lives learning the Torah, and the Torah has infinite wisdom. It can never be finished. There's so much more to learn because it's a godly book. The last one is the people of Israel, and prophecies are coming true. We believe that our God is revealed to us throughout history. The people of Israel survived. After 2,000 years out of their land, they survived when all the other nations during that time, the Assyrians, the Babylonians, the Midianim, all these nations are no longer with us. And during these 2,000 years that they were away from their land, we were prosecuted time and time again, tried to be assimilated into the nation. This is a promise to us in our Bible. There are prophecies that talk about how, we will not be extinguished. The people of Israel will remain alive. They will be taken in from all corners of the earth to our country, and also our country will be faithful to us, right? It's going to be destitute. Nations won't really be able to grow plants in it and to grow things in it. And when Israel is back, that's when it will be able to grow. And this is also a prophecy that we see coming true today. Unbelievably, I don't think there's ever been anything like this. The people of Israel from all corners of the earth, we have Jews from Ethiopia, from Europe, from Asia, from all over the world, come to Israel in the last 100 years, build our country. An Israeli rabbi, Rav Yosef Tzvi Rimon, had one of his students come up to him a few minutes before the afternoon prayer, mincha, and he said to him, "Rabbi, I don't know if I believe in God. What is some proof that a God exists?" The rabbi thought to himself, "Oh, this is a really big question. A few minutes before mincha, how can I answer such a question?" And then he thought about it and he said, "If you would talk to me 100 years ago, I would have a philosophical discussion with you. We'd read Maimonides' books of the Guide to the Perplexed. But today, is there any greater proof that the Torah words are taking place right before our own eyes in Israel?" After 2,000 years of exile, the nation of Israel returns from all countries, builds a Jewish state with millions of Jews. All the prophecies in the Bible are coming true. Is there any greater proof than this? The student thought about it and he said, "Yeah, that actually makes sense." That was enough of an answer for that student. So hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, you might enjoy another video on a similar topic I made where I explain about our oral Torah, which is the cornerstone of our tradition, how it was passed along throughout the generations. Hope to see you again soon. Bye!
Moshe emes,